we're going to see if we can get in there and fix this up with some line. It's one of those unseasonably warm December days, day after Christmas. It's actually colder in the garage than it is outside. So, there's that. But if I do open the garage door and the entry door, things are going to get there's going to be condensation on everything. So, we're going to work through this. So, here's the piece of garbage after it dried. I'm going to go use a marker and go over it with different line work. I'm building it up a bit more. That's a brand new Sharpie king size right there. So I use a combination on these mixed media paintings, a combination of artist materials and commercial or industrial materials, right? Not necessarily archival quality, right? So I'll just continue to keep working this thing for a bit. And we'll see where we get from there. I'm again got painting, right? I'm actually drawing, but painting intuitively, meaning building it up just by instinct, right? My intuition. And get some layering going. This sort of visual language that I've developed, I have developed that over my years of drawing and painting, drawing in sketchbooks. So this particular style, right, it has this sort of gestural, abstract expressionism, along with this somewhat intricate line work, you know, related to graffiti writing. I'm actually using a marker. I had some spray paint on the under painting, right? Under painting. And I probably will add some more spray paint, but like I said, though, I'm not going to open the garage door right now, okay? Because we don't want that. Usually takes about a day or so for the garage to acclimate itself to the outside, right? Very damp out there. So, using line variation, I guess just different mark making techniques, not really too much line variation. I mean, I guess I am varying the line a bit, but different mark making, and almost like these little things here, right? That's almost like an extension of a graffiti letter, right? Three-dimensional letter form. It's no longer a letter form. It's been exploded into this, right? So one of the things that I've been interested in is, so graffiti writing, right? They draw in their sketchbooks. They're called black books. They're also known as piece books, but I've always been a black book, and that comes from just the classic hardcover, the black hardcover sketchbooks that you for artists, right? That's kind of the standard of what is used. And I've been trying to, you know, bring black book drawing to fine art. So on another body of work, it's all that I have that I might show you at some other point. It's all marker drawings on paper that are abstracted, right? But a lot of the repeated line work, mark making, shapes, different, what I call graffiti motifs, like, right, like the old halo, starburst, right? So it's like a big jump up in scale from like an 8.5 by 11 sketchbook. So it lets me kind of go buck wild on this, right? And you know, we're saving that painting, right? Sometimes I'll make a painting and I'll be the first or second go through, I'll be finished with it, and I can finish it in a day. Sometimes I will come back and work on it a little bit more the next day or so, right? This one I've labored a little bit more on because I'm kind of on an in-between period of painting these large canvases and doing my oil paintings, my representational oil paintings that I've been doing lately, and then the marker drawings. So it's the 26th of December, so a couple of goals I have. I'm trying to, I finished up one of my black books, but that one I worked on off and on for like 2 years, and I completely filled it up. I had some friends do some pages too. That's another thing is the graffiti black book, right? They get passed back and forth between friends, and then if you meet someone that you don't know that's a writer, they can write their name in it, that kind of thing. But, so I finished that one up. It's like cover to cover with pieces drawn. But there's another sketchbook. It's like a wire-bound black book that I've just been doing the marker drawings. The black book is fine art kind of stuff. And I'd like to finish that up as well so I can start fresh in the 2026, right? Because I have another one I can start up on. And I was able to get a grant for the first time, and I'll be getting that money in the new year, but I had to write a grant, and I had several different ideas, but due to time constraints, I ended up just asking for a large quantity of large-scale, large-sized stretcher bars, right, that you stretch your canvases onto, because I have like 30 or more paintings of this size on this unstretched weird canvas, and I was wanting to stretch those and pick out like 10 of them, the strongest ones that I like, and stretch them and show them, right? And then if I need it, maybe show them a few times, hopefully somewhere outside of the area as well, but they'll be huge, so will be a task to move them around, but I could I'll take them off the stretcher bars and roll them up. That's kind of the idea, but I really need to lay all this stuff out so I can see what I've done on those. So I guess this is kind of shaping up. How's it look through the camera, right? It looks not too bad. So this was just a black Sharpie, king size, as I said. I think new old stock, right? It has a metal barrel, right? Now it's all plastic. So I got this from a friend who was getting rid of a lot of their art supplies. And that is one way that I acquire a lot of my supplies. And I think I've talked about it before, but a couple years ago, last year actually, I made a personal challenge to not buy any art supplies for a full year. And it was not like a hashtag thing. I just was like, I'm gonna do this, and didn't even tell anybody, right? So I should have been fun to document. But maybe I'll do that next year, right? Now that these videos are becoming videos, and so just gonna keep working on that. And yeah, so we'll continue to draw on this piece of crap and see what happens. I don't really know why I'm even recording this, but for posterity, I guess, right? Recording it for posterity. And I do apologize. I am shooting in HD quality. So you might not even be able to make out who I am, right? Because it's just HD. Like, I'm just a big blur, right? A pixel. Like Mr. Magoo, right? But this camera does shoot 4K, but it's just it only can do so much, and then the file is huge. And you know what? High definition is enough for me, right? And there's full HD. I don't know, but a lot of those. So my first digital camera that I ever had, right? Bought it in 2004, and it was like a Sony CyberShot, and it had 3 megapixels, right? 3 or 5, I'll have to check, but I feel like it was 3. But looking at a lot of those digital pictures that I took during the time, they look pretty darn good now, right? They look better because now the screens have caught up with the technology, right? But video did not quite carry over. The video quality of those is pretty rough. I posted like a skate video that was filmed on that same camera, and it's like really pixelated. So I'm gonna just keep working this, right? This piece of crap. Just another stupid painting that going back into the same freaking habits. This brand new marker I've already destroyed, right? So this is full of ink, but the nib is all flattened out. Well, that helped a little bit. Look at that. Maybe I should have did that all along. So yeah, because I'm pressing down pretty hard, and there's just plywood behind this, so there is no resistance. I don't know what the proper word is, but I don't know, dude. I'm confident that this painting sucks, and no, it should be all right. I think we'll be fine. I'm gonna pick some better colors, and the reason why I like to use spray paint and markers and stuff like that, paint markers and markers, spray paint, is because it dries so quickly. Right, when I was doing the acrylics, right, even those dry quickly, but not quickly enough. Things, I couldn't work as much as I wanted to because things started to get very muddy. Not ideally, but sometimes I'll have multiple things that I'm working on. But if I had a really big wall space, I can just go from painting to painting, like a production line, right? Sell these at the furniture store, right? Home decor, right? Which is, I think, is short for decorations, but so keep doing that. And you'll notice every so often I step back, take a look at this thing and see how terrible it is. Right? When you're working this closely to a piece, you can get caught up in the details, right? My nose is touching that, right? Nose. There is a little bit of an odor from the permanent markers that got me a little bit. So yeah, probably don't want to get that close to it, but so permanent markers, right? They are not really UV resistant. So if you were to do a Sharpie drawing and leave it in a window, it would fade out. So, but I've never had any problems with that so far. But you could spray a UV coating over it if you wanted to for posterity, right? Word of the day, you could spray a UV coating. The only thing I don't like about clear coating or sealing my paintings is it just makes it one cohesive, not cohesive, but the whole thing is just one sheen. And I like to use different sheens within my paintings to make things push and pull forward. But if it's like a jean jacket or something like that I've painted, I will put a nice little clear coat on that. Alright? Good old clear. So kind of just making different intricate lines and things like that. We're at 17 minutes. Excuse me. I gotta make sure that it is cold in here, right? But it's warm outside, and gotta make sure I work this part over here. So I'm gonna take a pause because I'm doing some laundry, and I gotta double check something real quick. I'll try to remember what I was talking about. Sorry about that, but no need to apologize because there was no time passed in between that because I pressed pause. So, and I think I bumped the camera too. So we're gonna keep on going on this one. Except I don't know what I did with the marker. I thought it was in my pocket, but it's not. So let me see here. There's another one that's already, maybe, no, that's not it, but pardon me. But I ate some Chex Mix. Went and checked on, put some more laundry in the thing, and ate some homemade Chex Mix, which I did not make it. It was from my aunt, sent to my mom, and I got to eat the majority of it. But one thing that I want to continue on in the new year is to try to greatly reduce the amount of plastics that single-use plastics that I use, and just plastic in general. But I mean, this cart is like resin. I like to put my markers in those clear plastic bins and things like that, but I plan to keep those. But like I said, right, that's metal. Aluminum, but this part's plastic, right? I have not yet been able to find a way to recycle Sharpies, the barrels of them. I have like, hundreds and hundreds of them. But I'm going to try to reduce the amount of plastics, right? This is literally painted with liquid plastics. It's painted with liquid plastic. But, so I might try to move away from acrylic, but I'm going to use what I have up, use that paint up, right? And again, right, I like things that dry quickly. And I kind of have, I don't I used to do a lot of charcoal stuff. I don't much anymore. I don't really like the smearing, and I mean I like it, but I've got so many drawings and stuff that are just, you know, they're easily wiped away. But I guess after years of, it's kind of like settles in there. But and I don't use pencil very much. I'll use it when I'm teaching drawing. And I don't really erase. That's kind of my thing, is I don't erase, but so I may start using pencil again. So I'll keep working on this. But, you know, I'm trying to get, I try to just get like 100% cotton as much as I can for stuff. It's really difficult for some things like socks or underwear because it says 100% cotton, but of course the waistband is not. I'm just trying to keep the old plastics to a minimum, right? They don't recycle a lot of them here. They just do the ones and the twos. Sounds like a subway line. Like I'm pretty big, the king of the ones and the twos, right? Milk jugs. So, yeah. But I think I might start, we always recycle our cans, and I think I might start keeping them myself and seeing if I can get a little cash for them. The reason why I never used to do that, because when I used to drink soda and stuff, they're just kind of nasty, right? And it's like there's like yellow jackets, bees just like waiting for those, right? And well, I'm not going to get into that, but so I'm probably overdoing this just because I'm blabbering on and on about microplastics or whatever, but micron plastics. So yeah, just overworking it. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, might start trying to scrap those aluminum cans because I have switched. It's been over 10 years now, right, that I quit drinking soda and just started drinking sparkling water. If I go somewhere to a cookout and the only thing they have is water and like diet soda, I might drink like a diet soda, diet root beer, but just different variations of sparkling water. But so that in itself, right, I decided to do that in like 2014, which was about 11 years ago, to cut out the soda. And I wasn't like a huge soda drinker. I mean, I tried to just be like, I'll just drink one a day. It was kind of like the, you know, like one of those smokers, right? 1 7-Up a day. But when I did decide to, well, I was trying to cut out the sugary drinks, so I just drank water for like 3 months, and I was like, I've got to have some bubbles or I'm gonna explode, right? So then I started drinking the sparkling water, which my initial, you know, dive into that was when I was still drinking soda, and it tasted like dishwater. But after not drinking soda for a decade, well, I mean, it didn't take this long, but it tastes like a soda, like an orange flavored sparkling water. It's like I'm drinking an orange soda. And, you know, I I know it's not right, but that's the way it is in my taste buds, in my brain. And then even the plain ones I drink, and they actually taste like something. It's refreshing, but there's no flavor to it. Let me go check the laundry again. If you'll just sit tight for a moment. All right, we're back. Did you enjoy your break? Were there commercials for microplastics while you were gone? While I was gone? So I'm here, I'm going to mix up a little bit of this liquid plastic. Making another pistachio color. I don't know why, I guess I'm just going for it, so. Didn't even wash my brush, just put it in a jar. Kind of continuing on with what I was already doing. I don't really even have any fresh water, but I'll put a little bit of this dirty stuff in there because it's a little too thick for what I'm doing. Yeah. Normally I don't have a constant dialogue going when I'm painting, but I have been known to talk out loud. In the last video I had like black paint splattered right there and I wiped it away, and the whole entire video was like I had like, you know, ready for the special forces or like a football player or something. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for this painting. It's kind of more just to get something up there and kind of show you the process a little bit, but it's really not working out for me on this piece of crap. The laundry's doing fine. I did check on the laundry. And we're doing okay on that. So we'll keep going. So basically filled this up with a bunch of, oh goodness, more line with a brush. Use the rag to wipe things out a bit. The all-purpose rag, right? All-purpose rag. But then, okay, it's not looking too bad, but it's definitely the movement of the painting is not working for me. So I'm going to change the way some of these strokes go to help give it a better movement when you look at it. So your eye will move throughout it a different way and you're not stuck, right? That's something I usually will address in paintings like this for the most part. If you're going to fill up the, I mean, right now this part is negative space, even though it, I guess this could be the negative space, but I don't really know. So I'll put a little bit more here. Look at that. Paint spatter. Not splatter, spatter. So now we're getting back into the abstract expressionism gestural painting, right? See the brush strokes, right? A lot of movement, drips, spatter. Alright, so that's, okay. This line that goes vertical doesn't really flow with what's happening in the painting. That's why I step back take a look at this piece of crap. I guess it's not too bad. The stuff at the bottom is kind of more interesting than what's going on in the main body. So I'm going to mix another color. We only have one camera. Yellow ochre, right? Good old yellow ochre. Okay. Looking like butterscotch. Delicious. Put a little water into the liquid plastic, right? So yeah, every time you wash your brush or dump out your jar of wastewater for acrylic, you're putting liquid plastic into the water supply, basically. So look at that. That's, yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Looks like nacho cheese. I don't know. Every color I make is some kind of food, right? Like pistachio ice cream, you know, nacho cheese. So, in middle school, at the public school here, which is not far from where I live now, Dennis Middle School, Bulldogs, and for lunch in the cafeteria, I don't know if it was just had to do with what means they had to make the food, but it would just be like you get nachos. It was just like a little tiny thing of nacho chips, the round yellow ones. Then they would squirt the cheese on it. You could also get the chili, right? This is the chili right there. This is the cheese, okay? And the chips, maybe that, but it's just not, that is not a very nutritious or filling lunch. You could also just buy breadsticks and cheese, and a lot of people did that. And so their lunch was breadsticks with the nacho cheese sauce, right? But I think we might be going back to that, right? With the current facts on the food pyramid that we now are. The food pyramid is now just like a flat, right? Right. You say the people that are flat earthers, but now the food pyramid is flat. It's just like a flat. It's like it's a landing pad, right? So this is dangerous, right? This is dripping down. It's like nacho cheese. Look, we're gonna let it drip. Just hit the ground, but yeah. So getting all physical, right? Getting physically into the painting. With some of the nacho cheese, right? Little jalapeno in that area. Yeah, this is a terrible, terrible painting. And the only thing that makes it worse is the commentary, I think. So that makes it even worse. I don't know if it's worse because of the commentary or the commentary is making it worse. But either way, they're working together to make this an overall crappy painting, right? So you did learn a lot about 6th, 7th, and 8th grade lunch, right? Which was not a good time of my life, the lunch period. But, water under the bridge, right? Nacho cheese under the, I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know what they serve now, but I know that I did see hummus in some snack thing that they had for kids. I'm like, wow, great. See, that goes through the glove. I don't like getting paint on my hands anymore. It used to not bother me, but prefer not to now. And these gloves are kind of hard to find, but I've really have enjoyed using these gloves, especially with spray paint. Back in the day, using spray paint, painting walls and crates and stuff. You would either, if it was a legal wall, I would just bareback it, right? No gloves. and you would get a lot of paint on your fingers. But if it was something else, you know, an illegal spot, right? Rubber gloves, right? Latex gloves is what we use. And your hand will get all sweaty. And I switched to nitrile. A lot of times you would be painting with this glove, and then you notice that it's split open. So like the paint's just going in there. And then you have like prune hands, right? The hands look like prunes. Like when you take too long of a shower. But we never really had these. Sometimes I would use something similar in the winter. That was another thing, is trying to figure out how you could still have the dexterity on the spray can and not freeze the fingertip, right? So I had like these fingerless wool gloves that if they turned into mittens, you flip it over and then had the fingerless. And that helped a little bit, but I mean, my hand would get numb, right? You'd have to like put it in your armpit, that kind of thing. Very uncomfortable. And then, you know, of course, the part that matters the most when you're, you know, finishing a graffiti piece is the outline, right? And all that, all the fine line detail. So by the time you get to that, when it's like 0 degrees out, 20 degrees, whatever, you know, you can't even feel your finger. So that's something, you know. This really does look like nacho cheese, the more I look at it. So in case you need to recreate nacho cheese, here's the recipe, right? 3 parts titanium white, 1 part, what is this, green? Permanent green light, and I don't know what that actually, is that German? But it looks like it says Hell, H-E-L-L. But it's got a lot of different names on here. Looks like German and French, Spanish, maybe an Italian. That's pretty cool. And this is made in France, right? This is like a budget Winsor & Newton for it's a flow formula. But so if you want to make nacho cheese, right? If you want to make nacho cheese, you got 2 or 3 parts titanium white. You got 1 part permanent green light, which is Verde Claro Permanente. Verde Claro Permanente. And so 2 parts titanium white, right? 1 part permanent green light, and then 1 part yellow ochre, right? Actually, that's not true, really, because that's not right. Because I used all that green paint. So basically, yeah, I would say, just never mind. I don't think I can recreate it, but anyway, this is it. This is the cheddar. Maybe it's better that I don't know, right? It's a trade secret. I don't know if I should ever paint this color again, right? It's kind of, I'm blurring the lines of middle school lunch and paint, you know, mixed media painting today, right? As I paint in my studio, which is about 2 blocks equivalent from where I grew up at. So it didn't get very far, right? Didn't get too far on that. But that's fine. But maybe I can become a cafeteria worker, right? Maybe I can get further, you know, get to be around. I don't even know if they have the cheese anymore, honestly, but maybe I should just apply anyway and see if I could get on, you know, and maybe if they don't offer the nachos and the breadsticks and cheese, maybe I can push for that, right? Or maybe I could go to the school board, something like that, and try to push for them to go back to that, to the nachos and cheese. I think I was gonna say we won't do the chili, but I think we'll keep the chili. But so yeah, I could do that to kind of get a better feel on how to make that color. Maybe I could just paint with nacho cheese. That's one other thing I could do. So I'm gonna add a little bit of burnt umber, right? I'm trying to use, this is burnt sienna rather. So this is a little more earthy, red kind of stuff. And yeah, we're back to making ugly colors like on the underpainting, so that's good. Add a little bit of water to that. So yeah. And okay, that's the chili color. I just made the nacho chili color. So something's going on here, man. I don't know, but I might be on to something. But so it was a salad earlier, and that's another thing, right? In elementary school, and I think in definitely in high school, is you could get like a chef salad, which was pretty awful. It was like iceberg lettuce and like string, like, you know, the string carrots where it's like, and then it had, you know, like cut up deli meat and then cheese on it, and you pick your dressing, right? French dressing or ranch was a very popular one, but you know, it's kind of healthy, but you could get you a salad. I also had these hamburgers in high school, which I don't, the rumor was that they were soy burgers, right? But I don't know, but I tried to be vegan when I was in 10th grade, so I was like, yeah, I've been just eating the soy burgers, and my friend was like, well, that's not, you know, there's probably some kind of meat in there. So they also had, like, this sounds awesome, right? They had Pizza Hut pizza that you could get, but I think it was all pepperoni, and I was trying to be vegetarian, but it was also just disgusting. I don't understand. It's like how you guys ruined pizza, right? And I don't know if it had to do something with the ovens they had or what, but it was just soggy, nasty pizza. I could go on and on about school lunch. It was it's a thing. So, but yeah, I'll just continue to keep painting my nacho painting. But that doesn't look. I don't know. It's kind of shaping up. Like the color choices, I'm not real happy with, but that's okay. At least we're putting some pigment onto canvas. So I'll keep going here. Maybe you could bring out the rag a little bit, right? It's like a napkin, wiping some of the nacho cheese. But yeah, it's all right. I don't know. Let's take a look at it from this perspective. Yeah, it looks terrible on camera. It looks even worse in person. Now, I think it looks a little better in person, but also the lighting's not great, and it's chilly in here. It's chilly in here, but that's pretty funny. But it is, like I said, it's colder in here than it is outside. Alright, so looking at this, maybe I need to build this out a little bit more. Some stuff up here. It's always good to know when to stop on a painting like this. I But I really don't know why I'm even recording this, honestly. But if you've made it this far, congratulations. You know? Congratulations. You can choose either nachos and cheese or nachos with chili and cheese, or cheese and breadsticks and cheese. Heck, we'll even throw in a chef salad, right? You could even do the chef salad if you'd like. And yeah, and maybe a soy burger. You could get a soy burger as well. And they're not actually vegan though. And a pop pizza. Pizza Hut. It will be delivering soggy pizza to you. And all you have to do is just go through the line and pay, and you should be good to go. I don't know, I feel like I need like a blue-gray or something. Try doing that. Trying to get away from painting my school lunch. Excuse me. Jeez. Okay, that's way too much white. Yeah. There's only one camera angle. I guess there should be if this were to be legit, more legit than it is, there would be another camera angle, right? I think I'm going to change brushes too. This needs a little something. Switch it up a little bit. This is just making like a baby blue. Ultramarine with some titanium white. So yeah, my friend Dan hooked me up with all the titanium white last year. Like I said, 45 minutes ago, that I did the No Art Supply Challenge, right? You've heard of it, right? The No Art Supply Challenge that I did. And titanium white, they say it's like the workhorse of, you don't want to use too much of it if you're painting like representational or anything really. You want to add other colors too, but it is a big part of the palette. But I thought I was going to run out of it, and I was going to have to be using find house paint or whatever, or figure out another way to do it. But he hooked me up with 2 half gallons of it. I think this is a half gallon. How much is this? Yep, half gal, right? That's short for gallon. Titanium white half gal. And that's just in English. They don't have it in any other languages. Acrylic. That's like it's I guess maybe student grade, I don't know, but it still makes the grade, right? And it still makes the grade, right? Look at that, looks like a ghost. Now things are shaping up. Digging myself into a bigger hole here. Right? Not only with the painting, but with the things that I'm talking about and saying, right? Keeps getting less and less interesting. Or maybe more interesting. I don't know. I think we're doing okay. Man, this is just something. So yeah, I'm going to keep working this out here. Using a different brush. A few different techniques. Little dots. A few bits, right? To quote the scene. And, whoa. That's a little bit too thick when I throw it out. It just looks a little bit too Pollock-y. Right? I try to avoid that. I don't know. This is just terrible painting, but it's all off-center and everything. I guess we could call that asymmetrical, right? I had to teach 2D design, and then I learned what asymmetrical is. I don't really use any of those terms or things when I paint. I guess I just automatically did it. know, I had to relearn that crap so I could tell people what about it. But, you know, the interesting thing about a painting like this is you've seen a lot of the work, and a lot of it just gets covered up, right? But different parts, right? It gives it a lot of depth, because this part is kind of goes back, and then this color comes forward, but you get little glimpses of layers, and you know, it's stuff that you can't do it in one layer, right? It's impossible. This is a layering effect. It's atmospheric, right? And it would be impossible to do that in one layer, right? I mean, it wouldn't be impossible, but it would be like you first would have to have the image that you wanted to recreate that was already abstract, and then you would have to paint it like a photorealistic thing and do each individual little tiny shape in there, right? So that, you know, this is a unique painting right before your eyes. Every painting that I do is different than the other one, right? It might have similarities in color palette. You know, I might do a whole series of nacho cheese paintings, and you know, some of the shape and line, again, right? 2D design and asymmetrical, but you know, each painting is different. It's completely different, and that's what is interesting and satisfying, and or whatever, with drawing and painting, especially abstract stuff, because it brought something out of nothing, right? And that is a concept that is older than humanity, right? So that's something that for me, instant gratification, but making something appear that wasn't there, right? And that can be visually or in another medium or whatever. So I think after another 45 minutes of this painting or whatever, starting to shape up a little bit, but I still don't really like it. Maybe when this layer dries, I'll go in with some spray paint when I can open up the garage door. The other thing is, these series of paintings that I've been doing, this one's different because all of them I've filled up the whole picture plane, but left like a 3 or so inch border around it because I plan to stretch it. But also I've done a lot of paintings like that just because I like the negative space, right? 3D design, and I like the negative space around it, and it kind of does something for the painting to have it centripetal, right, in the center. But this painting, I just made it right, kind of not even centered, but I went from one side to the next. But one thing I noticed on this painting is that this side is not as bad, right? But I haven't committed to going off the canvas, right? Everything's kind of stopping right here on this side, which makes it less impact on the painting because it's not like going on and continuing on forever. So that's something I need to think about, what I want to do with that. So we'll keep destroying this painting bit by bit. I'll add a lot of times I'll wipe stuff out and then add the same color over top of it, and then it's actually a different color now because this has been blended in a little bit with what was behind it. Kind of doing like a side profile of, I've talked about this before, but slide profile of a person, right? Graffiti character kind of thing. Makes it interesting. So now it's not 100% non-representational, right? There's stuff in there that you might be able to, recognize. The other thing is, when you do non-representational painting or just abstract painting similar to this or another style that's got a lot of detail or different color and stuff, people see different things in it, and they'll be like making stuff out, right? Like, oh, this is a plate. This is the school nachos, right? Maybe I'll just, I'm just gonna paint those in. Actually, I've been talking about it so long. I'm just gonna paint the nachos in. There is the nacho container, all right? Okay. And we'll put a little bit of chili cheese on there for you. Right, chili cheese on there. Well, chili and cheese. I don't know. There we go. There's the nachos. So yeah, that's. I don't think I've ever actually painted nachos before, but I don't. It may come up. I don't know. It might come up again when they want me to do the graphic novel about my middle school lunch experience. Other thing is, now this painting isn't that far down, but I'm kind of being lazy by not coming down here and working this out, right? You don't have to, but I can see it better when I'm sitting down here, and I don't know, I think you can see that in the video that you're not watching, and I don't know, there's some stuff to be done under here. And like I said earlier, I like this part a little bit better anyway. Everything's stripped down. So yeah, nachos right there. Look, or a baked potato. I don't know. We never had those, but it kind of looks like it. So I'll just keep on going on this, I guess, and I don't know. I guess I'll let it dry, and then we'll try to show you the rest of the process, I guess. Show you the rest of the process. So yeah, I'll do a few more little dabs, and that's kind of a cool effect. Oh, there goes the nachos, and similar to when a bully, would push them off the table, right? Push your nachos off the table, and ruin your lunch. Anyway, that was back when they had like Fruitopia. That was a big thing. I think it was Coca-Cola that did that. It was a big push. Everything was in glass. They were in glass bottles, but we had a Fruitopia machine, but it was just like a very sugary juice. Like it wasn't any less. I mean, it had some fruit stuff, vitamin C or whatever. And we also had I remember we had a machine that you could get like Mott's. I think it was Mott's, M-O-T-T-S, apple juice in an aluminum can. And I would get that sometimes, and for some reason, I remember getting it one time and then just putting it in my locker and then drinking it later. I don't know. That's not a really interesting story, but smearing some more stuff out and keeping things going. I don't know, this painting is just garbage, I think, but maybe we can make it work. I don't like the Venetian red with the pistachio yellow and all that crap. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to have to do to turn this thing around. But we're not going to give up on it. Like I said before, I try not to give up on paintings, right? Even if the nachos are on the floor, right? Right? Can always, tomorrow, right, with breadsticks and cheese. You know, you could hold the breadsticks in your hand, so it'd be harder for someone to knock it off the table. They'd have to knock it out of your hand, but we're gonna hang on to this painting. We're gonna let it dry, and I think we will come back with spray paint a little bit on it.